is on.
Whoa, is that too loud? Does that echo?
No, that's fine.
All right. Well, I was going to say I'm very, very highly honored and very happy to have so many beautiful people here tonight, even on a rainy night. And Mrs. O'Neill, I think, suggested that I tell you something about that wonderful parade. We decided, I think, at a meeting right down here in this very room, way back before anything was done about it, that we wanted a parade of the people, for the people, and by the people. And that it would be put into action by people in every township, putting in what they thought would be the best descriptive event of the history so far. And it turned out to be the most beautiful parade of the century, with 5,000 marchers. And it was only the good Lord that got that invitation to me to be the Grand Marshal, and boy, I grabbed it. It was wonderful. It was one of the happiest days of my life. And leading off the parade was our pretty county executive, Lucia Patterson. And people had said she's too pretty to be a politician. She ought to be in Hollywood. But we need a few good-looking politicians, I think. And she started out the parade. And then there was a police car, all flashing lights. And then there was Louise Tompkins, and my friend Hilda called it an El Capone, but it was an El Camino. And my dear, dear Yorker kids, 12 on each side of me, going right after me with a banner. I got a picture there. The Tompkins Yorkers. They were so cute. And we started out at the Jewish Center. And we went to Grand Avenue and Hooker Avenue and all around like that. And it was just beautiful. And now our dear friend, Mary Ellen Fiore, is going to give you some statistics so you'll get the idea of the scope of the parade. And here I will introduce Mary Ellen. You've got the floor.
All right, Louise. I think what Louise wants me to do is give you an idea of the groups that participated in it.
Yes.
And there were several divisions, like Division 1 was groups representative of Dutchess County. Like the Color Guard was the sheriff, and many representative groups from Dutchess County as a county organization.
Yes.
Then there were various Division 3 was made up of the different townships. The town of Poughkeepsie was represented, Amenia, Beacon, the village of Fishkill, the town of Fishkill, the town of LaGrange, the village of Millerton, the town of Wappinger, the town of Hyde Park, the town of Stanford, the town of Pleasant Valley, and the town of Washington, the Captain Robert Fettis, the mayor, and there was a church group that had a float, and the Historical Society had a float with the Tompkins Yorkers, but they were, of course, leading the parade with Louise.
Me. Oh, they're beautiful kids.
And there's a nice picture, as Louise said, over here on the table showing the Yorkers. They had red, white, and blue balloons, and they had sailor skimmer hats.
Yeah.
I guess they wore white blouses
Yeah,
and
white
shirts,
blouses and
blue pants
yes,
or skirts.
pants.
And they surrounded her as she led the parade. And so there are three nice pictures there. The town of Beekman was represented, the town of Unionvale, the town of Clinton, the town of Dover, the town of East Fishkill, the town of Pauling, and the town of Rhinebeck. And under each one of these, there are probably a list of maybe 8 to 10 groups under each one of these townships. The town of Washington, of course, I mentioned those, but most of the towns had like the Boy Scout and the Cub Scout groups, church groups, the Historical Society, the fire departments, Lions clubs, Little League, some of the, like in Pleasant Valley, the Pleasant Valley schools, The Arlington High School band paraded, fire company and auxiliaries. There was a horse-drawn vehicle with Miss Albertson from Pleasant Valley.
Yay, wasn't
She's
that
just
beautiful?
retired as being principal for many, many years. And it was very, very well represented, I would say. According to the newspaper article, as you said, there were 5,000 people who marched in the parade. And they anticipated that 30,000 people were expected to line up the 1.7-mile route in the city of Poughkeepsie. And you said that they changed the area where they awarded the trophies.
Yes, yes, because it rained in the morning, and the Cisco field that they had picked out for the awards and everything was all full of mud, and they couldn't go there. So they had to go around, and I parked in the old Eastman Park, and and I watched the end of the parade go by me, and oh, the drum corps! They were dressed, and shall I go on with it now?
Yes.
Well, thank you ever so much, Mary Ellen.
You're welcome.
You've got us so we know what we're talking about, you know? Well, I want to start with how I woke up in the morning and it was raining. And people said, oh, you won't go today. Give it up. You can't go today. It's raining. But you know that rain was a blessing in disguise. It cooled the air. It laid the dust. And it made the overcast sky made it just lovely and not so roasting hot. And when I started out, oh, it was just so exciting to go along the avenue there. It was just as smooth. The roads were wonderfully smooth. And people on the sideline, here I had the little, here's the wave that little flag I got right here. I waved that flag like that in my hand, and so people would know, and I'd say, hello, hello. And they'd say, hello, Louise, hello, Louise. I saw more people. Some people I thought were in Florida were lining the sidewalks, and it was thrilling. And everybody was so lovely. People said, oh, now, Louise, you want to look out. Somebody might throw something at you. They thought we were in Calcutta, I guess, or Paris or somewhere. But everybody was so cheerful. They were laughing and smiling. And that music, all those drum corps, there were lots and lots of men in them. And they walked as one man. When they just went like that, it was thrilling. And there were colored groups, all dressed in some kind of a uniform that they had. There were colored kids. There was even a colored band. And some bands came from as far away as Westchester and Albany. And everybody was so happy. And it made me feel we've always had great leaders, but the real people, you and I and all of us, who really supported those people, the togetherness of us, how they worked together to make this great country a country under God. And it was just brought out in that parade with all these different eras and represented in one way or another. And it was the most thrilling thing. And the immigrants that had come, they had their part in it too. Now they all gathered together and they all gave us something that helped us. And it just made you feel if we'll just stand behind our leaders as we did then, nothing can stop us, nothing. And it was the most thrilling thing. And then finally, when I got to the end of our parade route, and you couldn't go down to this little field, like on the mud, I went parked on the old Eastman Park place. And in front of me, the rest of the parade went by and was very thrilling to see them. And the reviewing stand they used was right up here on my left quite a way. And we could see them come up and go down. We could hear the clapping. And you know, when we came by that reviewing stand, we stopped, and my kids, the Yorkers, they sang Yankee Doodle and some other old time songs, and they were so cute. They just belted it right out, and the people in the grandstand stood up and clapped. Wasn't that lovely? And I hope that interests my kids in history. Well, then while I was waiting down there for all the rest of the parade to go by, we could see the music and everything. An aide that I had 30 years ago, her name is now Jane Sanchez, came along, and she climbed up on the El Camino and talked with me. And we renewed our friendship, and she fed me ice cream because I was getting a little hungry. And I asked her if she remembered the first day that she came in the old part of the infirmary to be an aide. And she came into my room, and I said, Jane, a friend of mine will be killed if you don't help me. And of course she thought I flipped out. She looked at me. She says, what? I said, look behind the curtain. Up behind the curtain was a poor little bat shivering in fear. And I said, you're going to be killed if they find out he's here. He hid back there, and I haven't told anybody unless you take him out. And that brave girl stood on the radiator, reached up, got that little bat right back of his neck with the two wings, and took him carefully out and let him go under the ramp and saved his life. And we laughed again over that. And Jean Bernacci, one of the aides, and Alice Haddon were with me, and they did everything that I needed. And Jane stayed with me while they went out and got something to eat. And all the time these people were coming by. And this man, I got the picture there, stuck his arm over the edge of the El Camino, and he said, I'm Mr. Jameson. And he said, I have designed and I have made this medal, and I'm giving you the first one. And Charlie was just reading how much they're going to sell some extra ones at this next meeting they were having. And I was so pleased. And I framed mine. I've got mine on the wall upstairs. And I was very happy to get it. And another young man was the secretary to the Dutchess County Historical Society, Fred Allred, came and stuck his head in through the El Camino, and we had the nicest visit. He's a very fine young man. Of course, he's in the Dutchess County Historical Society, but I just wish we could get somebody like that in our society here. And he's very interested in these Yorkers, Tompkins Yorkers. And he said that he would help when we got that history book up to a certain point. He would see if he couldn't help us toward the publication. And those blessed kids have been out selling candy and babysitting, and they've already got about $400 in the bank toward that publication. So it's very encouraging. And then as time went on, I met more and more people who stopped along to talk to me. And the young man who loaned the El Camino, it was so nice, it rode just like a Cadillac. He was there and he spoke to me, and it was very, very nice. And as time went on, the bands and things passed by me, and they began to break up a little. And this woman came out of one of the units. She walked up here along on my left, and way up in the back of the buildings, I have an idea there's a ladies' room. And it had rained, and it started up again, and I had 3 colorful beach umbrellas on my stretcher in the El Camino. And one girl threw a raincoat over me, and another one pulled a plastic sheet right up to my chin, but I couldn't wave my flag, see. And this lady went by me, and Jane was sitting up on the El Camino. She didn't mind the rain. And this lady looked at me and she said, "Is that a dummy?" I said, "Don't tell her, just let it stream on." And a little while later, she came back. And I said, quick now, Jane, give me that flag. Here I am when she went back. I'm waving my arms and saying, hello, hello. She looked at me, her mouth open, her eyes bulged out, and she practically ran away. So I guess she thought something had come up out of the netherworld. It was so funny. And another man looked at me, and he asked Mr. Rexhouse, who was driving, and Buddy Morona was there too. I like to have firemen along whenever I go anywhere. And they said to Mr. Rexhouse, is she 90 years old? And he said no. But I said, why didn't you tell me? Tell him, give me a little more time, I'd get there. And I met all these interesting, colorful people, and I was very, very thrilled when a school teacher, it's very hard to get names. There was so much noise in the air, you know, and music and everything. And I couldn't get her name, but she was a 4th grade teacher out in the county there somewhere. And she said that she always read my column in the paper to her kids, because there weren't any. I guess there weren't any other columns as juvenile as mine. And she said the kids loved them. That made me very happy. Several people told me that. And there was one awfully nice looking older man, probably 39 and holding. And he had all kinds of whiskers. And he kept standing there beside the El Camino and looking at me and looking at me. Finally, I couldn't stand any longer. I said, hello, mister, can I do anything for you? And he said no, and he came over, he said, I just wanted to meet you and say hello. I always read your column. Boy, I like that. I don't know who that was either. And there were lots of very interesting people like that. Well, time went on, and they were going to give out 19 awards. And imagine one of them was going to be given by the Dutchess County Historical Society, I believe, in my name, too, and it was won by the Mount Hope Grange, and that was thrilling. But it got later and later, and the parade took long, you know, and the people in the viewing stand were to make speeches and everything, and I got hungrier and hungrier, and then Kathy Payday went right along with us, you know, with the Yorkers. And I said, Kathy, I'll have to go home. And I did want to see my trophy. So she went up to the reviewing stand, and she got Lucille Patterson to come down and show it to me. Really, I couldn't say it. It was so beautiful. It was a great big, like, silver cup, but it was wide, and it was like you were going to use it for flowers or something. And it was mounted on ebony or something, pad of block. And that was what was given to the Mount Hope Grange for the best historical float in my name. And boy, I just went right up on to cloud 19, scratching for a higher cloud. It was such a wonderful thing to happen. And so then we started home at a little after 7. And I got home a little after 8. And they had saved me a nice cold supper. And I finished eating at 20 after 9, one of the happiest days in my life. And I just can't wait till another parade comes along. And it was wonderful. It just made you realize that this county, this America, has a great future in front of it. If we just all stick together like those people did, and all of the immigrants that come, if they continue to help us along the way they did, boy, we're just going right on to greater and greater things. And I'm so glad you dear people came tonight, and I hope I gave you a good idea of this beautiful parade. And if anyone asks any questions, just come right up and ask me, and I'll try and tell you. And I thank you so much for coming, and God bless you all, and stick with us so we'll make something good out of this society. Good night. Anybody else want to say anything?
Louise, I just want to say thank you very much, and I can see from your description that it was a marvelous day, and for you, certainly, and beyond all other people, it was an opportunity that comes only once or twice.
Once in a lifetime.
Probably once. And, we have all been very happy for you that you were chosen for this Grand Marshal of this parade, and I'm glad that you were able to go. And I'm sure without any doubt you did justice to the town of Washington by being the Grand Marshal of the parade.
Thank you, thank you.
I'm sure, the way you say. And I was looking at these pictures here. They are very nice.
Aren't they lovely?
And you're young people. I think this is wonderful. I think that you're putting yourself out to work with them.
No, not yet. It was wonderful.
Working with them is give you a great deal of satisfaction, and it's going to be good for everybody concerned, including them.
I forgot to tell you, we were on television on Channel 10 at 4 o'clock the next afternoon. I think on somewhere else we were on.
Good.
So wasn't that great? All our people, all the parade, all on television. Hallelujah.
Good. Good. That's wonderful. And we also thank Mary Ellen for helping you fill in with the data and so on like that, Mary Ellen. We appreciate it very much.
Oh, I was happy to help Louise.
To say it's hard to express our thanks to Louise because she works so hard at it, and the rest of us come down here and enjoy it.
Oh, I just love it.
We do appreciate it, Louise, no end.
I appreciate you asking me no end. I love to meet all these beautiful people, and it's just so stimulating and so encouraging that we have these people behind us, Charlie.
If we can do anything to help you, well, let us know.
Thank
You
you.
do a lot of things looking up, and sometimes if you have any questions that we can answer, don't hesitate to ask us. Probably we can't, but we will give it a try.
Well, thank you.
And now if there's nothing further to transact business about, we can say that the meeting is adjourned with a very little thanks to Louise and a very little thanks to Fran and Harold. I think I saw some refreshments here. Are you ready, Fran?
Yes, right.
You might as well enjoy them then. So,
Yes, I want to see his picture.
yeah, so we have the picture there.
I think we should give him
Yes,
one
enough.
too much. It's probably hard to hear.
Turn it off and